Okay, hi everybody. Hope you're all doing well. I missed you. We're in for the home stretch now, okay? All right. I kind of debated over what we were going to do for the last two lessons, and I decided that because the equation of a circle is going to include completing the square, that I'm going to go with that because I know you need it for next year. Okay, so the first thing we have to talk about is the equation of a circle, and there's a couple forms. And the first form we're going to discuss is center radius form. Okay, center radius form of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. And that's where the center is h comma k. All right, there's a couple things to notice here. Notice this is like point slope form of a line where the minus is here, right? It also should remind you very much of the distance formula, which some of us, use the Pythagorean theorem. Okay? All right, let me slide up. I'm going to try and slide up at the right time every time. All right, write the equation of the following circles with the given center and radius. Graph the circles. Okay, so the equation for this circle with a center of 6, 2, and a radius of 4 is x minus 6 squared plus y minus 2 squared. And now be careful here, you have to square the radius, right? Here's your h and here's your k. All right, if I'm going to graph this, I have to put the center at 6, 2, and the radius is 4. I'm going to slide the y-axis over to the left a little bit. All right, so, oh my goodness, that was the worst line in the world. Not in the world, but okay. So I have to put my center at 6, 2. So 2, 4, 6, 2. There's my center. Now to graph this circle, I'm going to do 4 of the radii. I'm going to go up 4. I'm going to go right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think this graph is totally proportional. Like this row right here looks a little skinnier to me. And you can try using your compass, but if it's not totally proportional, it's not going to work as well. You could freehand it. Okay. Right now, I'm just going to make a little note here because this is 4 squared. If you think about it as the Pythagorean theorem, you'll be less likely to make this mistake. There is another thing that we need to talk about here. This is inside the circle. This is outside the circle. The line going through these points, or the curve, that is the circle itself, okay? So it's just a matter of terminology. Okay, so far so good. I remembered to slide up. Okay, now it says that this circle has a center of 0, 0 and a radius of 5. So the equation is x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals the radius squared, so 25. Now, x minus 0 is going to be x squared plus y squared equals 25. Okay, so this is the form that a circle with a center at the origin will take. All right, so since my center is at the origin, I'm just going to go right down the middle. Okay, so there's my center. And now the radius is 5. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, and 2, 4, 5. And there's my circle. Okay, inside, outside, there's the circle. Okay. All right, write the equation of the following circles. Now, we just talked about this. This is my h, this is my k. It has a center of 0, 0. So it's going to be x squared plus y squared equals radical 7 squared is 7. This one is going to be x minus 6 squared plus. Now here, look at this negative, all right? Y minus negative 8 would be y plus 8 squared. The radius squared is going to be 144. All right, now this one says, find the center and radius of the following circles. Well, the center here is 5, 3, and the radius equals the square root of 400, which equals 20. Right, look at the form that this is in. This center is going to be 0, 0, and the radius is going to be the square root of 169, which is 13. Okay, I remembered again. All right, put the following circles into expanded form. Now, actually, I'm gonna come up here first. Let's say I do x minus 9 squared. Now, way too many of you are going to tell me that it's x squared plus 81. That's not what it is. This is going to be x minus 9 times x minus 9. So if I do my double distribution, I get x squared minus 9x minus 9x plus 81. So it will be x squared minus 18x plus 81. Now the pattern here is great to know because then you won't make the mistake anymore. If you have a binomial squared, we're just going to do it for leading coefficient is equal to 1, all right, which means there's a 1 right here, the leading coefficient, the beginning coefficient. The pattern is square it, all right, we squared it, double this, minus 18, pop the x on, and then square it. Negative 9 squared is positive 81. Right? This is called a perfect square trinomial because it consists of a binomial squared. Okay, so now let's go back to where we were. Okay, so if I want to put this in expanded form, I'm going to say square it, double it, square it. Remember, this is always going to be positive because when you square something, squaring a negative makes it positive. Now let's do the same thing with this. Plus y squared, double it, minus 6y, square it, plus 9 equals 400. Okay, but now we have to put it in the correct order and combine like terms. So let's subtract the 400 and subtract 400. Okay, now the way that you put it in the correct form is the exponents take precedence and then alphabetical. So we have x squared, all right, if you need to, cross it off, plus y squared, got it. Now I'm done with the squares, so now I have to look for an exponent of 1, and alphabetical, minus 10x, got it, minus 6y, got it. Now we're going to combine all these constants. So I have 20, oh, hold on, I have to fix my calculator. 25 plus 9 minus 400. All right, so that's going to be minus 366 equals 0. And that now is in expanded form. Okay? All right, let's look at 15. Okay, let's use our pattern. Square it, double it, square it, plus square it, double it. Just watch out here because I know my mistake is I'll write an X again, right? You have to have the Y in there. And square it equals 28. Now we're going to subtract the 28 from both sides. Okay, exponents take precedence. So x squared plus y squared. Okay, now exponent of 1 minus 18x minus 12y. Now use your calculator. We have 81 plus 36 minus 28 and hit enter. So plus 89 equals 0. Okay, so that's how you expand or how you change into expanded form of a circle. Okay, now we've kind of done this a little bit. So I know I've thrown these questions in there, here and there. So hopefully this section will not be so hard. All right, now remember, we need the center and we need the radius. So if I want to, sometimes it feels good to get started. So I have x minus 5 squared plus y minus negative 3, so y plus 3 squared. And that has to equal the radius squared. So in this question, we need the radius. All right, so I'm going to go for the card table. All right, and the circumference is 12 pi. So that goes in the C spot, which means the diameter is 12, which means the radius is 6. Some of you will not be able to resist this, 36 pi. But the radius is 6. Now just be careful right here because you did all this work. You don't want to put a 6 here. You want to square the radius because we found that the radius is 6. Okay, now we have a diameter. There's a couple different ways to do this. Let's see what I'm going to do. All right, if the radius, here's my picture. Here's my A and here's my B. All right, I think maybe let's find the center first. Okay, so the center would be the midpoint. So 0 plus 0 divided by 2. So the midpoint, or the center, equals 0 plus 0 over 2, comma, negative 4 plus 4 over 2. So the center is going to be 0, 0. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, from what we did previously, we know this is x squared plus y squared. Okay, now we need to find the length of the radius. I'm going to use the positive number, so I'm going to use B. So 0, 4. Okay, so the radius equals, well, how far apart are 0, 0, and 0, 4? Well, the x's are 0 apart, and the y's are 4 apart. Okay, so the radius equals the square root of 16. Now, you could say equals 4, but guess what you're going to do now? You're just going to square that. All right, so 16 should be the answer there. All right, you could have found that the length of AB was 8 and then found the midpoint to get that part. It's just always nice to get the center onto the paper. Okay, this one has a center of 6, 5, and the point 1, 1 lies on the circle. So let's get something on the paper that we know. Oops, you have to write the H. Okay, because here's my H and here's my K. So x minus 6 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals the radius squared. All right, so now here's the picture. 6, 5 and 1, 1. There's my center and there's a point on the circle. So we need to find the length of this to get the radius. So the radius equals the square root of 6 and 1 are 5 apart, so 5 squared. 5 and 1 are 4 apart. So that equals the square root of 25 plus 16, which equals the square root of 41. So that's my radius. But when I square it, so r squared equals the square root of 41 squared, out pops the 41. Okay? All right, write the equation of a circle with the center of negative 8, 15. So x plus 8 squared plus y minus 15 squared equals the radius squared. All right, so this is the same type of question. The center is negative 8, 15, and the point 610 lies on the circle. Okay, so the length of the radius equals the square root of negative 8 and 6 are 14 apart. 15 and 10 are 5 apart, which equals the square root of 14 squared plus 5 squared. I would just type that whole thing in my calculator. So the radius equals 221, the square root of 221. So the radius squared equals 221. Okay, so that's what I have for you today. The second 2 pages are to be completed for homework. All right, have a great day. Hope everybody is enjoying the weather.